Today was an important day. Over the course of the week, everyone in Rosewood's teams had been carefully and intently keeping their eyes on our newly arrived unsorted students. Through the grim news and goings-on of the days before, well, those were still on our minds. We collectively held the duty still to see to it that our new peers found a place amongst all ranks. The morning was uneventful, and instead of regular classes, we had our first sanctioned meeting day for our divisions. The group led teams of students overseen by individual teachers and assigned specialized tasks. I was part of the crafting division and in charge of the utilization of supplies for the construction of assets of all kinds for the sake of the school, as well as the muscle division, the workload team responsible for procuring the resources for the crafting team, as well as others. Both important roles with work that called back to many activities I faced in day-to-day life as a young member of the Tajik clan. I had to make my way to the dilapidated wreckage of what once was a dorm building, left to waste after an incident caused it to crumble in on itself. Lefron was the only one there when I arrived. For a moment we thought perhaps we had heard wrong about where we were meeting. It turned out we were simply a lot earlier than we expected, as everyone else traveled in a pack with Professor Caldwell, the leader of the muscle division. Professor Skyette, the leader of the crafting division, was not far behind. The two divisions shared a space for the day, and both had a part to play on what was to be a large group project. What now was a pile of wasted material scraps was to be cleared, assessed, plotted out, and constructed as something completely new. A community space meant for all students. Any student. A place fit for the comfort of us all. A place we could go to when we were bored, lonely, excited, inspired, needing motivation, or just looking for a peaceful place. It was supposed to be a place we all could be fond of. Crafting team spent a good amount of time mulling over initial concepts. Most of them were just high concepts thrown up for the sake of sparking inspiration, but meanwhile, Muscle Division was starting a long and arduous process, that of which was clearing the many remnants of rubble and debris that the area still had in it. All was well, and spirits were high, but a familiar and
At least not
immediately
yet.
alarming sound filled our ears. It was coming from the main building, the emergency siren. Everyone immediately turned tail and ran towards the scene. I was contacted by Chancellor Malik over the intercom earrings to plant myself at the infirmary. My team had split to go directly to the mess hall, to wait for me. I got the signal from Bellicosa and Cecilia that it was time for me, too, to recede to the cafeteria, and so I sprinted and rejoined my team there, as well as the rest of the student body. We set up a defensive line to block off access to the front of the mess hall, and simply waited, eventually getting sight of Chancellor Malik himself. We, as well as two other teams, were dispersed through different areas of the school
Yes, sir.
sweep. Team Ventus
Ventus, move out. Follow me.
lobby. Cautiously and in a tight formation, we went from each dorm building, one after another, searching every place we thought we could expect
3.
someone hiding, but found nothing. A chance encounter with Gelub at some point later on,
Gelub!
the crisis was over, and everyone could breathe easy. And that also, it was the return of Professor Neller that tripped the barrier's security system. There was mixed reactions. It had been a long
I'm
time
sure for
since
no
that name
mischievous
had grown
reasons.
past our ears. Memories of, no doubt, some of the Academy's biggest hurdles in establishing themselves within its early days of the Foundation. The combat and tactics teacher responsible for heading many of the Academy's early crucial efforts. And as it happened, was part of the orchestration and the mission that led to the Academy's first fallen students in line of battle.
We've unloaded the cart.
What is it?
The wounded in the cart.
I guess you would say,
Yuki and I had
over
very
assumption of
reserved
our
feelings.
readiness to take on.
At one point, he
what we
was
did.
one of Team Ventus' most dreaded authority figures. back when we were only the original four, when Ty was still with us.
He had us, a large group of the students,
A huge part of the blame for the deaths of the 3 students
take on a hunting trip in an area that which was unknown to us,
buried in our graveyard,
only to
attributed to
select
him in those
few of the
days.
teachers, and even then they were
Mistrust of
going
the
off of
faculty
mostly
and
just based
remorse for the
assumptions
deaths
and
of our peers
would have
drove
been
us,
cartographied
Ventus, to
loosely
a
by
reserved and
bellicose and some
shut-off
of the
corner,
others.
filled with bitterness
And
and silent defiance.
There were threats in there that we were
So
not ready to
facing the present
face.
as it was, we loomed in the
And the
pain of the
students
past and the fear of the future
We're not ready either.
for much too long.
The 3 people that
Elias
died were
was not
students
present
and
during that. He did not live
were
through
there
that
trying to save
So
those
the
out of which
explanation
got
of the
into
hunting
trouble.
trip, the catalyst
There were
that
casualties
specific
because of
tragedy,
the mistakes of others.
well, interesting. After so long, and especially after losing Ty to the depths of insanity, an unexpected clarity was revealed to me. A sort of maturity and reflection took hold.
He's a competent
It came to
man.
me that
You can
it
tell
made
that
no
he
sense
has
for the faculty to sabotage
lots
their
of
own
military
creation.
experience, sure,
Not
but
like this. There was nothing to gain
he
from
came in
instigating
at
such an event.
probably what was our
They
most
lost their
turbulent time
students,
so far.
the morale of their students, and many valuable medical
was
resources
coming in
and
expecting
attempts to save
soldiers
the
and
3. Fastest
Instead
that,
what he had was a
given
bunch of children.
attempted coup or other
Young
malicious
adults, but
intent, wouldn't be given up
some of
if
us-
being used as some kind
some
of
of us
tactic
weren't
to
ready
an
yet.
end affecting the internal parts of the school.
You overestimated them.
Professor Neller wasn't a murderer. He was a military-minded man who sadly overestimated the clutch he had been given at the time, and did not have the resources to properly secure a means to handle them with precautions or safety measures, given we were already on a skeleton of resources. The 3 people, as well, who passed, were 3 brave but ultimately unprepared students who put themselves in a line of fire to save the lives of others who had originally wrought the wrath of the beast. They paid the price for unpreparedness. My mindset had changed a lot from those old days, both my purpose here and Professor
Just was
Neller.
the proper term.
No doubt he was in the main building and in deep discussion with the faculty. He would show himself when he wished an audience with us. He always did. Ulysses and I spent the rest of the class day in the dorm lobby, helping Professor Caldwell get almost all the debris from the future building area into sectioned off storage, and also aiding our crafting team companions finalizing the first steps in our process to make the community center a reality. The entire day went by fast, and the sun began to descend.
Hopefully, you should have consensus on.
Val, an unsorted I had wished to inquire about, given sorting, was part of the crafting division. I pulled him aside to talk to him, which was long overdue.
Team sorting is rapidly approaching, and, well, I'll keep this brief so that way you just know the details that you need to know. At Ventus, as a team, we have a strong front line right now, but we're looking for people to fill in the back, whether it be in taking out priority targets, supporting the team with magic or whatever. It's a little bit of a thing that we wish to patch as best we can. I haven't gotten to see much of you, but from what I have seen, you do have some talents for sure. And what seems to be a good head on you. I like the ideas that you come up with, and you seem to mesh well with lots of the people here that do talk with you. With that being the case, I would like to ask you personally, as we come into final decisions, if Team Ventus was to, in our final decision, offer you a spot, would you be okay accepting it?
As ridiculous as this sounds, you are actually the first team to actually approach me about the subject.
Calling me surprised.
And I have heard from multiple sources that Ventus was in fact looking for range, so I figured you'd come to me eventually anyways.
That said, Brown's primary division is alchemy alongside mine.
I will keep the decision in mind,
I do
but
wonder if it's okay for a secondary division.
in perfect honesty,
What is it to be a leader? Perhaps we should ask. I don't know if you would be.
I feel as though there are teams that could use some better leaders as well. I'm hoping one of them will invite me.
I
You are.
can see.
From what I've seen recently, a phenomenal leader. I feel as though those youth would be wasted on Ventus.
Guys, as a choice for the living, for
But
the inside room, we
regardless-
want a weapon storage or a what?
Not many people have offered, so we'll keep it in consideration.
Writing down
That's all I can ask.
in the choice
Thank you for that.
You're a good leader. You have a good head on your shoulders. I'd be glad to join your team, of course. But, like all good things, takes time to think it over.
Less than 2 minutes.
Whatever the case, thanks for your time. We'll, be chatting about you.
Of course.
Yes, if like what kind of
Actually.
content with some people, so I was just wondering if you were just interested, so we can gauge interest.
Do you have any knowledge in crafting weapons?
Like something,
I do.
so we can make a
The,
decision.
clan, that of which I come from, used to do a lot of it. Firearms, we typically didn't make the, entire part of it, but most of the mechanisms we did make, just not assemble it ourselves.
Interesting. I have permission from Professor Skyat to work on a prototype I've been planning out for the last couple of years. Tonight. If you would like to assist. Unfortunately, the unsorted have the unfortunate punishment of not eating or sleeping for a day. Due to some students.
So that the weapon storage and weapon rack are two separate things?
But if you'd like to come for just a little, I'd help you out with some parts.
Hmm.
It'd be appreciated.
Reading area, weapon storage, reading
I think I might do that. This was something that you were planning on doing and working on tonight.
I think the
I have permission from Professor
display
Skyat.
can just be added there because I
However,
think
we
that
need
is
to
a
make
very
sure the
nice
place is clean for tomorrow, of course.
It doesn't take long.
Right.
Uh,
Well, if that's the case, let's see. That's right. Okay.
We are probably one of the two main picks for leaders of crafting division.
True. I
Personal vote is for you, of course.
I guess we'll see. That'll probably be part of the negotiations as well. Whatever the case, I do have some things in place that I do need to take care of. I probably won't be able to make it for a good amount of time, but if you don't mind burning the candle at both ends, at least for a little bit, I'll be able to show up then.
I will be there. Quite literally all night.
I'll try and see if we can bring something to keep us awake.
You have the Harpy girl on your team, correct? It's starting with K.
Mm.
Get there. Kiki.
Yeah.
I have a bit of knowledge in prosthetics. Perhaps I could help give her a hand or two.
She fantasizes about that a lot. I think she'd be excited to hear that.
What the fuck do you mean?
Perhaps something we can talk about another time.
should we have
Yeah.
a choice between the garden
I'll try and rush through the rest of what I have to do, and then I should meet you as soon as I'm done.
or sparring ring?
Of course.
Or is the garden like a
I'm going to go figure out what I can manage to get away with for food while not eating.
All right.
I'd say we still
Talia also made her way to meet with me. I had left instructions for my team that morning to host a small interview fairly early before most people would be heading to the breakfast hall.
That's why I stood here. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
did you get a chance to talk to any of my teammates this morning?
I did, but I wanted to talk to you as well, if you have time.
Well, I do.
This building is meant as an assembly place for casual and friendly interaction between students
We
outside
walk
of
away
academic
a bit.
matters.
Yeah.
For relaxing, conversing, and casual competition among students that do not see each other often.
I spoke with the rest of your team this morning. And I extended an invitation, but
Oop. A little bit sore. Sorry. Yeah. I asked them to. More or less gave them a little bit of instruction booklet. It sounds as if they followed through with it just fine, which is good to hear. As far as things go, how exactly have you been seeing out there with all the teams so far? And the people in it? Have you thought much about where you personally would like to be?
Ventus is my first choice.
What exactly makes you say that?
You're good people.
Well, I do appreciate
You
that.
didn't know me and didn't know my story. And you welcomed me in. And I've gotten a chance to talk with a couple of them, and it's a promise of having something I haven't in a long, long time.
I am very confident I know what you're talking about. And a lot of us on Ventus have similar motivations for wanting to work together. I guess that more or less shows in how we interact, what our goals are, what we find important. We still have a lot of growing to do, but all of us, we know that our lives here, it's one opportunity, I think, to, well, like you put it, make a place for themselves that they might not have been able to by themselves. Whether that be because of losing something important, not having the support group that you needed, maybe just not having the chance to before, or maybe just not having the confidence to do it yourself. We understand that, and we understand that other people go through it as well. As a team, we very much want to be people who can bring an end to feelings like that in people. And really the best way that we can do that is trying to be good students and, by extension, hopefully one day good fighters against the Rift.
I wanted to ask you, alone, as leader of your team, why me?
I guess
We've got Val.
in the background I come from, getting a read on people is something that you need. Firstly, to survive, but secondly, it was what we relied on for basically every other aspect of life, including trying to see who you wanted near you or not. And even though we didn't get a chance to speak much, other than the small amount of time that you did share that one night and around campus, I've been keeping an eye on everyone very closely and picking up as much as I can. The actions and the places that you guys spend, the people that you hang around, it all interconnects into things that you can pick up. You came into the Ventus dorm in a similar way to many of us when we first got here, and from what I understand, especially now that we're talking, I think that with the right space and the right atmosphere and the right people, that there is a lot that you can do. And, well, being a team leader, I want to provide that for the rest of my team, so by that extension, having you on Ventus seems like a worthy opportunity to me. You, from what little I heard, can use a sword and have some grasp of some kind of supportive magic, and I think it's the latter that definitely is in high demand, especially on Ventus's team. Kiki is dedicated fully to the idea of healing the wounded, but I think she could really use some help. Which it sounds like that you'd be a very good choice for.
Company. Hello.
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 Sorry, I hope I'm not interrupting something.
A small chat. The team sorting is coming really fast, and so I'm just tying up all loose ends and...
I don't know if you heard about Professor Neller once. Everyone to witness some kind of spark. But do that after your conversation. It's more important.
Right.
They had left a positive impression on her, as it seemed.
So they would, if they're going and telling people like that's the
Play with the rest
get like exclusive pool access.
Ah, he's over there.
Have a good night.
Rom, you should listen to that.
Chancellor, if you had a moment,
Aqua to use their pool.
Captain Jackson and I, we have something to talk about. The contents of which I think it'd be better if we found someplace to talk about.
Alright, follow me.
You don't need to join. If Aqua approaches you to join them and they try to add the pool.
Right. Well, I have something that was divulged to me, and Jackson is bearing witness and also is wanting to work with me on finding a solution to it. To put things into a little bit of a timeline here. Several months ago, me and a few other teams compiled ourselves into a mission squad, that of which left the bounds of Rosewood Island, and, as you may or may not have heard, was vital in procuring some vital things that we have here on the island that were being assailed by some cultish fish folk.
Yes. I'm well aware of this.
Right, good.
So, what was left out of the report was during one of those moments of recovery, two of Lumen members were down. Lumen at the time were the two members on my squad, including another named Grim, who was being treated by the healer of Ventus, Kiki, and my current subordinate, Iveen, I think I'm saying that right. pulled a knife out, or used magic, and he threatened her. Basically, to fix the problem, or there would be another one. For the record, I don't agree with any of this, and furthermore, I was told of this 5 months after it had taken place.
The reason which being because Kiki was not comfortable enough and fearing some kind of recommendation from some source to come out about talking about it, until she was comfortable enough to secretly bring it up to me and the rest of Ventus.
Me and Tao wanted to keep it under wraps until the investor left, and just in case drama might leak out.
Alright, so do we know where this Evian is?
Currently, no. I would suspect somewhere near the main building, possibly. I could put a call out.
Yes, if you could do that for team captains, I'll ask that.
Might be odd, Tao. Team captains, if you see Iveen about, please send him to the dorm area immediately.
Do any staff have eyes on Ivy?
Yeah, I don't know what was going through his head. Me and Sylvia have discussed the thing, how unnecessary and I don't know, the train of thought was just irrational, the actions were.
Yes, it sounded to me like an irrational and desperate vie for some kind of control over the situation again. It was, by its very nature, an act of passion. I've seen them, very similar things done, which is why I'm taking it so personally. Not of any fault of you. There's no ill will towards anyone, and rest assured, I've made sure that none of my team have acted ill against Ivian or anyone of Team Terra. We're smart enough, and I've told them enough. That trying to bash his head in or anything like that, it doesn't solve anything.
Well, that is good. So, if either of you see him tonight, please let me know.
Of course, sir.
And I will have a talk with him. Let me know over the comms channel.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
We will have a conversation with him. It is unacceptable behavior, even if understandable in a stressful moment.
Of course.
But thank you for bringing this to me. No, excuse me. I believe Miss Talia wishes to speak to me.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We were supposed to do that this morning, but what's his name? Kai. Always forget. Kai was, took up his time, and then after that everyone just got way too busy.
Yeah. You do mess up Ty and Kai a lot.
I do, it's a problem. It is a problem. I'm working on it.
Very different people.
The Umbra Captain Kai. Oh my god, I almost used the T again. What's wrong with me? Hello, Yuki.
Sorry. I don't think
No, you're not interrupting anything.
Excuse me.
It's good to see you again, Professor.
Thank you. I'm pleased to see you doing well.
Oh. You have a good night. If you do have somewhere to be.
You as well. I'll just go check on my team. See if I
I was just gonna say that, the Chancellor said we needed the papers for who was gonna join our teams at tomorrow morning.
I'm working on it. First off, I got a test to do. But, I'll have it ready, and we'll talk about it. Did, Ulysses already go to bed?
Yeah. No, I think he's over there.
Alright, well, if you can hold out... Okay, cool, thank you. If you guys can hold out, and you're going to be here for later, I'll eventually be back, and we'll talk a little bit more about things. You know, for tomorrow. Getting that page written up. I think I've talked with everyone that I've wanted to.
Okay. I just wanted... Are you gonna be gone now?
Open the door to Ventus ASAP.
Why?
What?
Because I'm joining Ventus, and I'm baking an apple pie. And these apples are heavy.
I'm opening up. Yuki is in charge while I'm gone. Are you two coming or not? I don't know what this apple pie business is, but it sounds good.
I think we have a full team. She wanted to join us.
I had been attending to finish the conversation. Didn't want to interrupt you.
Well, if you do want to just spend time, like I said, will slide back. I don't want Professor Mordred to get angry or anything for me being a little late.
You should go. I need to find Paxson in any case.
All right. If that's the case, then I'll see you when I get back.
Yeah.
All right, you two.
I want bucket.
Okay, Mr. Yeah, I installed it myself and everything like that. And there's this one that'll trap your finger in it and almost cut it off if you're not careful. So good thing you actually came to get me. Oh, no, wait. Okay. I forgot that one. Okay, now you're good. I have to go. Be good. Why do I even say that? It's not guaranteed ever. Anyways.
I was feeling a genuine connection, a confidence, in both Val and Talia. Their conviction was strong, and they held potential of an honest and promising kind. It was up to team captains to write in written reports of their choices for new teammates, and I had my work cut out for me. There was, however, a couple of important things to do while the night was still young.
Probably in his class.
I'm looking for Captain Jackson.
Evening, Professor. Alright, I am now free. I'm very...
I think you might be the only student I get to test today. I really hope everyone else is awake, but I don't think so.
For friggin'... They get extra study time just because they get regular sleep. Whatever. I'm not mad.
Okay. But, come on in. Please have a seat anyway.
well enough. Crazy day,
Very good.
for various reasons, but we're making the best of it as Ventus is to do. As, flexible and versatile as the wind, they say. I think they say. Somebody said that once.
Probably. I want any question. Alright, Kaolani. Are you ready?
As ready as I think I'll ever be.
Alright. First question. What does YES spell?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
100% sure.
100 is the... Oh, yeah. Yes.
Alright then. Follow-up questions then. If YES spells yes, what does EYES spell?
Oh, dang it. I remember this. Added E is the... Y is the... E... S... ES... Eyes. Eyes.
You're very good. I heard you say, ES. Why are your eyes closed? I'm very confused now.
It's thinking... I don't know. I think a lot harder when my eyes are closed. It's trapping out all the visual stimuli and just focusing. Please continue.
So, very good. You have passed one of the very first tests.
Yes.
To be honest, a few students have gotten it incorrect.
Oh.
They said ES. Alright then. Here's a journal or a book with blank sheets in it. I'm gonna have you spell some words and have you practice writing in common. See if you can get the hang of being it more fluent.
Yes. Am I allowed to use multiple pages? I'd still write fairly large in common.
Yes. Don't worry, I'll get rid of the pages once we're done this. Here's a well, ink.
Okay.
Start with some simple words. Are you ready?
I am now.
Alright. I want you to spell the word blue.
Blue. B. Blue. Like the color, right? Not like blue something out. Okay. That is... Not, there's... Okay. B, for sure. L, for sure. Blue U. Okay. This... U... I or... No, that would be the E. Okay. E's. Yeah, it's E. B-L-U-E. E's are the thing that are silent lots of times. I think. Yeah.
Very good. That's correct.
Oh, thank goodness.
Alright, next word will be a bit more challenging. Rosewood.
Oh. If I get this wrong, this will be really embarrassing. Okay. Which way does the hump in R? Towards the rest. Yeah, that's right. R. O, that's easy. S. Ah, that's what I'm missing. Okay, so that is like that, but there's an something. Another, an E. Yeah, like blue. Okay. So that's Rose? Yeah, that's Rose. Wood. W for sure. Double V? It looks like two V's. Why is it W? I'm confusing myself. W. O for sure. Ooh. But it's not like Rose. O sounds usually as 1. Ooh sounds are usually 2, 3? 2. W. O. O. Oh, I can't look back at the other page to see which way the B hump goes.
Unfortunately not.
Ugh. D is defiant. It goes away. So if it's like that for a B, defiantly, it would be line. And then that way. Is there anything else? Any other letters? Rosewood. 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 Okay, I'm going with it.
Alright. See? Correct.
Okay. I don't think I've
By the way,
held my breath like that. Yeah? What for?
for reminding me to remove the paper that you already used.
Oh.
So that you can't cheat. Excuse me?
Is that how you get rid of all your papers?
No, but I think that was more funny and dramatic.
Yes, Professor, it was. Definitely those.
Alright then. Your final word, Bell.
Oh, there it is.
This is gonna be your very most difficult word. I don't think I've given this word to Telcross, and he was not able to spell it. I don't think anyone, without being prepared, knows how to spell this word. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Hypopotomonstrosis quipedaliophobia.
Okay. Oh, this is making me feel weird. I gotta stand up and then sit back down.
Don't worry, take all the time you need. It's very difficult word.
You know what, and then we're gonna also just, yeah, there we go. There's an H in there somewhere. I think at the beginning. Can you say it again?
Hypopotomonstrosis quipedaliophobia.
HIPO. The word literally slips out of your mind as you say it. How is this possible? Is this a magic word?
It's kind of magical, but also a very, very cruel magic. Let me ask you this. Do you have any idea what that might mean? Hypopotomonstrosis quipedaliophobia.
Hypo. I don't know. It almost sounds like something that you wouldn't want. Phobias are like that.
Yes, if something has as a part of it called phobia, it means a fear of.
Maybe something like they don't. There's like a volatile-esque sound to that part of the word. I'm gonna say that it is a fear of being stabbed by a cryptid.
Unfortunately, that is not. It is actually the fear of long words.
Oh. Wait. How does... What? But how does... I don't... How in the world are they supposed... How are they in the world supposed to tell someone what their phobia is if in and of itself is what they fear? This is...
Right?
This is...
The common tongue has done cruel magic trick on people.
This is cruel trickery. I cannot get behind it.
I think they would just say they have a fear of long words. I think that's how they say it.
They would have to, most certainly.
But yeah. Do you wish to continue trying to spell hypopodomonstrosis cryptidaliophobia?
I could if I wanted to, but to be honest, Professor, I'm unsure if I'll get anywhere closer to hippo volatile trip Oh, I just realized I wrote phobia. There's an H that's supposed to be there somewhere.
Yeah.
Suffice it to say, I think this is the best I'm going to do on that one.
Alright. That'll be all that is for your writing and spelling part of the assignment. Next, it will be a game of sorts.
Right.
This game is a word game. I will say a word, and you will have to think of a new word that ends with that letter, the last letter that I said. Any word. So, for example, if I say table, it ends with the letter E. So, you need to think of a word that starts with E.
Oh, yes, I see now.
So, let's say, for example, I say table. What would you say?
Egg.
And with a G, I will say grape.
Emerald.
Alright. So, you see how that works?
Yes, sir.
Alright then, let's begin. No words in the log from beginning. I'll start first. Book.
Knee.
Emerald.
Dog.
Grape.
Eel.
Luxury.
Yearn.
Northern Droza.
Wait, that's not one word. Which end do I pick?
You would say the end of Droza.
Oh, okay. Apple.
Electric.
Elevation. That's a word, right? Doesn't that mean, like, how tall something is?
What word do you think what word did you hear me say?
Electricity was a while ago.
Yes, that's the word I just said, right?
Yes. So, let me get back into it. You said electricity, I said urine, and then I forgot what you said after that.
Alright, let's start from there then. We said Northern Druids already, so, yeah. So, N will say nothing.
Game.
N will say nail.
Need.
Well then, that'll be the end of your examination. I really hope Zuku was able to find Lyra and inform her to do the test.
I didn't get a response, so I'll hope that he did. Knowing him, he might have just given a thumbs up and totally forgot the fact that I can't see him.
Well then, that is the end of your examination. I also need to inform you that we have some new members joining linguistics class. We have Solus, Talia. If I recall correctly, Kai said he wished to start joining in the linguistics class.
Interesting. I think they'll all be welcome additions from what I've heard of them. And spoken with them about.
I do need to ask, were you able to recruit any of the unsorted into your team?
I think we're just about as finalized as we can, yeah.
Who may they be?
So far as a team, we are feeling pretty confident about Emma and Talia joining our ranks come next morning, when we put in our pamphlets.
If Talia is joining in your team, it would be very good if you and Kiki were to help her in study.
Seems like a ample opportunity, yeah.
Alright then. You may be on your way. I'm going to run around singing and screaming if Lyra's awake.
Good luck with that. Good evening, Professor. Huh? Oh, hey.
You okay?
Yeah, Mordred just let me out of linguistics.
Okay. I was getting worried.
It did take a while. We got a little ahead of ourselves. How are things back at the dorm?
Everybody has gone to sleep.
Well, I'm just about headed there now, so I guess we might as well return if you both didn't have anything else to do.
No, we were looking for you.
Oh, it's in here, and safe and sound for right now. Neller did wish to speak to me at some point in the morning, though, so who knows how that'll change.
Yeah, Ulysses got scolded by Miller because of his hat.
Oh. You know, I'm not really surprised. We'll go ahead and walk and talk. No, we could make a new one. Kiki will probably be at least a little bit pouty, that of which her and Ulysses don't match anymore, but... If we potentially just get a good enough replacement hat, maybe she'll like it even better.
Well, when it's night, my understanding is that the uniforms are...
Yeah, that is true. Ulysses really likes hats, though, is the problem, so...
She knows, by the way.
Oh, she knows? Okay, that's good. Well, if that's the case, then I don't know what to do about it. This is just what we have to deal with. Yeah, but it's good. All right, we're on the same page. Ah! I saw it to the void. And it was beautiful. Yes! Saved it.
I suppose that I should probably head back to the warehouse.
Oh! Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll just walk. If you don't mind the company.
Either way.
Walking sounds nice.
We can walk. Have a good night.
Next one.
We dropped Talia off at the warehouse before Yuki and I returned ourselves to the dorm. Yuki and I spent a small amount of time in the commons of our dorm building before she retired to our room and, well, went to sleep. I stayed for an hour, getting a quick power nap before leaving her to hopefully rest in peace. I left a note on her nightstand and slipped out of the building. Me, on the other hand, I had a place to be. Even showing up at well close to midnight, Val was in the forge on the 3rd floor of the school and working away. We spent the night up there, away at work, Val introducing me to his project, and me, well, I sparked an old flame within my heart I hadn't felt in ages. My hands moved almost instinctively throughout the process of building and smithing. I was back. The craft my people relied on. My inheritance. I was creating again. And I couldn't be happier. A nap before breakfast would stave me off, at least for the day ahead. But I'm sure the excitement of sorting on the horizon and the general atmosphere around would make tomorrow a breeze to make it through. And so, all that's left is to see what's in store.